What's up, ladies? Oh, I'm back. I'm feeling so good. I'm going to talk today about social media and the social media dilemma. And first off, I don't even really have like an agenda of exactly what I want to talk about with this, but I have a lot to talk about on this topic of social media. And by the way, are you digging my new office space? I'm so excited for it. Got my little love sign, I got my little mirror, I've got my whole little meditation corner over there, I've got these expansive windows. I feel like I have arrived. It's been a long time in the coming, years, months making to get to this point. But I can't tell you how good it feels to feel grounded in my own office space so that I can truly come alive for all of you guys. So let's talk about social media. So I watched The Social Dilemma movie on Netflix a couple days ago. Don't know if any of you guys have watched it. For any of you that have watched it, post in the comments, yes, watched it, or no, haven't watched it. I had been holding off on watching it for a while because I felt like I know what they're going to say here. Social media is evil. It's taking over our brains, blah, 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 right? Like I don't need to subject myself to that. But there's another part of me that's like, no, like I need to go into this and I need to be able to honor and respect and hear the truth, right? Hear the truth from the makers of Facebook without getting into too much of the craziness of it. It did cause me to just take some time to pause and think about what is the purpose of social media and how do I really want to use social media? Because there was a big part of me that was really questioning, like, I was thinking about it, I'm like, crap, my whole entire business is built on social media, right? And here I am doing all the things, posting and engaging and supporting people and encouraging people to be on social media. And am I just feeding the darkness, right? Am I feeding the devil, so to speak, with the craziness that these platforms can really be when used in darkness? And I'm taking a little bit of an Instagram hiatus because this was before I watched The Social Dilemma, but I was just realizing that I was draining myself so much by putting out so much content and being online on stories and doing all the things, right? That it was starting to take away from me being able to just stand in my power and stand in my ability to channel and be this vessel of truth and wisdom and support for all of you. And it was feeling like I was just going through the motions with it. And this is me just being super transparent here with all of this. But I will be back on Instagram, but it really wanted me I wanted to pose this question for each of you. You know, how do you use social media, and do you use it for good or for evil in a sense, right? And what I really have taken away from in the last few days of just giving myself a little bit of a reprieve from just needing to be on all the time is just realizing that I do want to be on social media. I do want to be a presence. I do want to be an influence without being an influencer. But more than anything, I want to use it for the good, right? I want to use it for the platform's best intended use, not for the endlessly scrolling and all of that kind of stuff. I want to be there as an uplifter, as a trainer, as a guide, as a mentor, as someone to turn to, someone to lean on, right? And that's what I've noticed, is that even stepping away from it for a little bit, I've noticed women saying like, oh, but I always look forward to your posts, right? Or, oh my gosh, like you've helped pull me out of some really crazy mindset things that I was going through just by seeing your little Instagram story or things like that. So I'm recognizing that social media doesn't have to be all bad, but it is important to make sure that we're being very intentional with how we use social media and the ways that we, just being aware of the ways that it can influence our mind and influence our psyche, right? And I think that this is probably more of an issue for women that are, in their teens and coming into their early 20s than for, I think all the rest of us ladies. But it still is important to recognize and just be very intentional. And one of the things I've done is just starting to delete the apps off my phone and just having them on the computer. So that way I'm giving it more of like a productive time of like, I'm on social media when I'm working, but when I'm off social media, or when I'm out with my family and friends and doing things, I'm off of it. And that's been a really good disconnect for me to kind of help start setting some boundaries. Because at the end of the day, it's about setting boundaries and about really making sure that we're managing the inputs of what's coming into our mind as well as what's going out of our mind. Because what we receive in is what goes out. What we start to see is what we start to speak. And what we start to see is what we start to believe, right? So making sure that your feed and social media as a whole is something that is going to be influencing your mind in a positive, instructive, constructive way, right? Rather than just following every beautiful influencer that's ever traveled the world, right? And once again, this may be basic stuff. You may be like, yeah, Teal, I already get it. I already know. I'm already doing this, and that's great. But I think it's important. It's an important reminder, and it's something that even though I've never been the type of person to just be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, I was really thinking about it more of like, how am I showing up for each of you, right? Am I showing up for you from a place of just encouraging you to be on social media when social media is so evil? Or is there still a benefit, right? Is there still a way to be able to show up and serve and support and be one of those people in your feed that is uplifting and supporting you rather than encouraging you to just spend more time in front of a screen? So that's a little bit on my piece on social media. And then the second part that I wanted to talk about is how social media can influence relationships, right? Because this is a whole new world that we're navigating and moving into as well. And, checking in with yourself around how am I allowing social media to influence relationships? So this could be many things. One, this could be being too available, right? If you have social media on your phone and you're dating a guy and you see that he posts something, like, is that immediately going to make you want to go respond to him or talk to him? Or if you're getting pings like all the time on your phone, is that going to make you seem too available? Or is it creating and adding to the comparison mode and to you starting to, think you're not good enough, right? We all have that core wound insecurity of not being good enough that we have to move through at some point in our life. And sometimes social media can be very triggering for that I'm not good enough belief, right? So once again, making sure that your feed is uplifting and supporting, but then also just not having it be too present, not allowing yourself to be available to it all the time can actually really heal and help your relationships. And then, of course, obviously, the quality time aspect, right? If we are with someone, truly honoring them and being with them, rather than having it be a half in, half out, half in, half out, trying to be on this world and trying to be in this world. Anyways, send me some comments if this is stuff that you want me to talk more about. If you have any questions about social media or how it's influencing you, if you're catching the replay, just type in #replay and I can make sure I can catch this. Because it's a new world we're navigating here. Not only are we navigating how to be a woman in relationships, we're navigating how to be a woman in relationships in the middle of the biggest social media new age, right? And it can really cause a lot of confusion and a lot of second guessing. And when you ever get wrapped up into the spirals of second guessing or confusion, we have to make sure that we're checking ourselves and bringing back that awareness and coming back home to what's really important, right? Which is your psyche and yourself, your inner self. And so if there's any of the feelings of like ickiness or intensity or heaviness or just not feeling good enough or just feeling like the world's falling apart, like just this is an opportunity to just like take a step back. It's still going to be there when you get back, and just reground and recenter into yourself. So in regards to social media, another thing that I was recognizing is that different people love being on different kinds of platforms, right? So women that follow me on Instagram aren't necessarily listening to my podcast, or women that are watching my YouTube channel may not be a part of my Facebook group. And so it's important to know that even if you are feeling like you're burnt out on social media, it doesn't mean that you have to be completely disconnected from the world. If you're feeling like, I just can't do social media anymore, or at least for like a little break, it's completely okay to take a break. But there's so many other beautiful platforms that you can still be a part of that don't need to feed those weird addictions or insecurities that some of the other platforms might provide, right? So for me, like, being on Facebook and being on my email can be very addictive, right? I'm just always wanting to check emails, wanting to respond to people, wanting to check on Facebook, things like that. So taking some space around that and putting boundaries in place around that is really good. But being on YouTube doesn't bother me at all. Like, I just don't get sucked into YouTube. But if I want to know what's going on, I can go and watch a quick YouTube video. So ask yourself and check in as well. Are there certain platforms that are specifically more addictive and challenging and more triggering to my psyche than others? And maybe you take a break off of one, but allow yourself on a different platform, right? And so that's something I'm really starting to do more of, is repurposing my content so that I can be sharing the same message, but doing it across a podcast, a YouTube, a Facebook group, an Instagram post, all the same things. But doing that from a place knowing that the same women are probably not going to be on the same platforms. And so it's okay. It's okay. You're not going to miss out. Believe me, you're not going to miss out. You still can have access to lots of beautiful content. I'm just, not just for myself, but in general, lots of content is repurposed on many, many different platforms. So maybe you're a podcast person, you know, and maybe it's important for you to recognize, you know what, I don't need to be on Instagram, but I'm just going to really double down on podcasts. And that's how I'm really going to feel connected. And anyways, I could go on and on about that, but that's been a really beautiful learning lesson for me, is starting to just be more intentional and be more smart about the inputs that I'm putting out. And for my listeners and for my audience, giving them permission to let them know you don't have to be everywhere, right? Because I was getting to a little place of burnout of last week, because I was feeling like I've just been giving so much and I've been doing so much and I've been doing all these different tasks in my business, trying to repurpose all this content to all these different platforms. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm exhausted by social media. So I'm hiring a VA, and that's beautiful. But I also realized, like, boundaries is a huge, huge part in our self-care and in our self-love. And actually, I have to talk about one of my clients that I just finished supporting, Naomi. I'm going to be sending a little testimonial video of her later today, because I'm so proud of her. She said working with me has literally changed her life. And the biggest takeaway that she shared was learning that self-love is so much more than just bubble baths and, you know, meditating. It's really about setting the right boundaries and putting the right boundaries in place. And even for myself, I mean, we're always constantly growing and expanding and contracting, growing, expanding, contracting. And even as I'm stepping into this next level of expansion, I'm recognizing that when I expand, I have to be putting those boundaries in place, right? Every time we move into a new place of expansion, we have to reground. And when we reground, it means recentering and putting new boundaries in place. Give me a 1, give me a thumbs up if this is making sense for you. And let me know if boundaries is something that you're struggling with. I'm playing with the idea of doing an entire little mini training and little workshop specifically around boundary setting, because I'm recognizing just how huge of a challenge this is for women to be setting proper boundaries. And this is boundaries in relationships. This is boundaries with coworkers. This is boundaries with family members. This is boundaries with everything. Boundaries is a huge part of self-love and self-care. And why is it such a big, important part of self-care? Because it is giving you that foundation to stand on, and it's commanding your self-value and self-respect. I'm totally going off on a whole nother topic here, but this goes back into social media, right? What boundaries are you putting in place for yourself so that you can keep that respect and that care and that love for yourself? If you know that there's a specific platform on social media that is eating away at your self-love, it's time to really take an honest look at that and maybe put some boundaries in place. Like I said, maybe you take the apps off your phone. Maybe you put a timing limit of how much time you spend on each of these apps. There's a lot of different things you can do specifically around social media boundaries. For me, it's about setting boundaries of how much of my personal time I'm putting into posting all of these things everywhere. And that's where I'm recognizing it's time for me to set a boundary and hire a VA and get to offload some of this to her so that she can really work in her zone of genius and I can work in my zone of genius. Because my zone of genius is to be here in front of each of you, talking with you, coaching you, supporting you, challenging you, and inspiring you, right? So anyways, biggest takeaways for today. Check your social media awareness, right? How aware are you? On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being I had no idea how addicted I am or how much I spend time on it, and 5 being, yeah, I'm super aware and I'm really taking a ton of precautions to manage my mindset around social media. Where would you say that you fall in this? Because that's a really important awareness, number 1. And then 2, what are some new boundaries that you may want to start putting in place for yourself to honor your self-care and to honor your needs so that you don't feel like you're getting sucked into the external craziness of the world and that you're able to come back to reground and rebalance within yourself. So write the number in the comments below so that I can see. And once again, let me know if there's any questions or follow-ups that you have that you'd like me to talk about in regards to social media or around boundaries. And if you are interested in a boundaries workshop training, let me know that too. But for now, just wanted to kind of bring up this topic and kind of let you know where I'm at with all of this and just really recognizing and honoring the fact that social media can be used for good or for evil, right? I'm choosing to be very intentional about how I show up. I do not want to encourage you to be spending a ton of time on there, but if you are going to be spending time on there, spend it with me, right? Spend it with me. Spend it with people that actually are here to serve you, uplift you, and give you what you need, instead of causing the self-doubt, the self-worry, the comparison, and all of that, the heaviness of that side, right? And if you need to do a full-on detox on your social media and unfollow a bunch of people, power to you on that as well. So anyways, I hope you guys are having a beautiful day today. It is sunny, a little overcast here in Portland. I'm going to be Spence and I are going to be going to volleyball later tonight. We found a meetup group here in Portland. There's so many meetup groups. It's so fun. If you ever just want like more activities and you're feeling really lonely, depending on how COVID is with things, but we found an amazing meetup volleyball group and we play like every Wednesday in the evenings and it's just so fun. It's so fun to get out and just play, right? Just literally play. No competition, just totally just getting to hang out and have a good time with other people our age. And yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm doing to really nourish myself and get myself out of the office, off the screens. I hope you have a beautiful day, ladies. I'll talk with you soon.